Okay, I just want to get another one of these recorded before I lose the ability to talk. So I just want to make an addendum to something, to what I was talking about yesterday. I don't, it's not sour grapes. It's just a point of I'm spending time on something that's not giving me any kind of satisfaction, but I wish did, and I would love to keep doing, because I'd love to be able to do this as my job, and then have interaction with my audience and all that. But so please so I hope you understand where I'm coming from there. I want to do all this stuff, but right now I need to focus on the stuff that is giving me satisfaction, is beneficial to me in the future, and all that. Because sometimes when you start working on something, you're not able to finish it, which brings me super. This is something that I've mentioned on my site numerous times. I don't remember if I've mentioned it on our Soundoff. Yeah, I came up with a price for it, but this is TDA's Galactic Adventures. This was a project I started in 1993, and it was a series of comics. I got up to, let's see, 13, this is, no, 17, so I got to 18 issues, so I worked on this thing until sometime in 94, and maybe close to 95, before I had to stop working on it because work was taking up so much time, and I wasn't getting chores done around the house and other things that I had to do. I mean, I'm still living with my parents, and even if I had my own place, there were things that I had to do to maintain my own house. But since I'm here, I need to contribute to my parents, because I at least am capable of doing my own contribution stuff. And that included my chores around the house and work that I had to do. So this was something they came up in a notebook. This is a 5-subject notebook. So even if I'll show you if I can get this thing to flap to the right page. Where are you? There. You can see I did, by using the manila pages, as well as the various dividing pages, and 22 pages plus the cover, which is how I counted the comic. So 24 pieces of paper, basically, I had a comic, because I didn't have to worry about a back cover, because I was just writing as if it was basically like an omnibus, really. So this was an omnibus of 17 issues. The 18th I did in volume 2, which I never finished because I got about as far as how many pages? And I got about 3 pages. I got as far as a splash page to a sci-fi story. And that was kind of the thing about Galactic Adventures, is it was a superhero story or it was a sci-fi story. Even the superhero stories had sci-fi elements. Even if they didn't have powers, they had some kind of cool science fiction gadgets. So that kind of gives you an idea of where I'm coming from when it comes to the comics. You can kind of see here what's the BW logo looked like at one point, and versus this is kind of what it looked like in the oh, that's interesting. Volume 2 is when I started using this logo, which is closer to BW logos I do today. So yeah, so that was interesting. So this volume would have started a brand new BW logo, And then I only got as far as this fall comic and the one and a few pages of the sci-fi comic where I didn't even get to see the good guys fall. I did. I'm sure I covered it. No, wait. Oh, okay. So no, I actually did 19 issues of TDA's Galactic Adventures. That was a two-part story there. And then I was going to do my Robotech type of story, Starfighter, and then this comic also introduces. I guess you could call him my Batman. I don't know if that's quite what I was going for. I think I was going more for Nightshade in the from the Flash, the first Flash TV series, live action TV series, and it was a little bit of that, a little bit of a Phantom, but you were seeing it early in the legacy. This was maybe the second Phantom. What I liked about this one too, this has one of my favorite panels that I did during this period. I mean, I can probably do it better today, but for its time to have a page like this, the way it's laid out, the way this panel here in particular is drawn with perspective, doesn't seem much to you, and I can probably do a little better now. But by 1995 standards, this was, major growth for me. And so that's why I would still be doing Captain Yuletide and Jake and Leon and some of the other comic ideas, because I would still be improving as an artist. I would still be having fun telling stories, and I created my own superhero. This is the first superhero I ever created when I was still in middle school age. And it took until 1993. I graduated from high school in 1991, so middle school, you can get an idea of how long it took. It took that long to properly define him, his powers, to not make him just another Superman clone, and then to actually tell a story with him. And I did come up with a two-part story for that. Then I came up with my own giant robot story, the Crimson Seven robots in different continents, including Antarctica, because you never know when the bad guys are going to want to help do things in Antarctica. The problem is these earlier comics were in pencil, and as you can see, the pencil is kind of disappearing a bit. I got to strain in order to be able to read it now. But these are ideas I would love to go back to and make them happen. Crimson Seven was like what, 3 stories? Yeah, like 4 stories were Crimson Seven. Crimson Seven was 5 part. Most of the comics were 2-part stories. I did very few 1-part stories. Most of them were 2-part. This one was 5. This one I'm not going to show you because I really did a terrible job with this. Not that it was bad written, from considering what my skill level was at the time. More just I took a character I'd never designed to be a Christian-based hero and tried to make him a religious-based hero, and it was theologically questionable. I'm taking the name and giving it and completely redoing the concept from scratch, because I am that dissatisfied with how the story came out. And then there's the one, if you've watched my review of the GoBots mini, the GoBots 2 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 mini, the G uh, not really a mini comic, more of an illustrated book. Escape from Planet Earth. That was the one that used to come free with Zod. If you've seen that review, you may have seen this. This was my 2-part GoBot story. I readapted Escape to Planet Earth, tried to flesh out the story a bit, gave Psycho a little extra motivation, included a few elements from the cartoon, but tried to set it in a different kind of universe closer to that mini booklet. And I'm actually kind of proud of this one because there were things that I did here that I didn't. Here's another example. Here's some of the Renegades, and look at the position I put Tank here. I don't think I ever owned Tank, but somehow I was able to give him instead of having him looking straight this way or straight this way, I actually have him looking this way, which is something that I wasn't able to do for a long time. So the fact that I was trying these things, right, and here's an example of hindsight, I think. Probably when you try to make your characters too much of you, although I didn't wear glasses at the time, and I've never been able to turn into a giant blonde guy. But this was a superhero called Powerhouse, and he's one of the characters I'd still like to take and redo. And I think I would actually redo him as a black guy. I think mostly because of, let me find a good shot of him. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to show you that page. That's online. That's where you don't want to see. I basically made a Ku Klux Klan supervillain. And who I set him up against? A white guy. I mean, it's kind of partially kismet. Like, this is the kind of guy they would promote, and he's kicking their butt instead of helping them. So, but I really should have made him black. And I think you were watching not because of any kind of, because of various, I don't know. It's just kind of the way I'm seeing it now. When I see him as a black man, and he's going to be really smart. He's in his civilian identity. He's an archaeologist. Okay, what was the point of that reveal? And then I have him going up against. Are they still the same white supremacists, or? Look at this guy's helmet, though. And here's some guys with flamethrowers. And it doesn't hurt him because my superhero was able to take anything. That was really a little lame. Civilian identity. Archaeologist, that's... here's a comic idea I probably won't do anything with. But the villains that were in the story are something that I would put in a new BW superhero universe. So, and then example of a good Christian superhero, because I planned him that way, the Guardian Angel, set during the end times. This, I don't know if I'd ever do this, try this story again. And any rate, it would always be a one shot or a 2-shot. I don't think it's something that I would do as a regular series, just because I don't see the stories in my head. So if I did this story, it'd just be kind of a reenactment of this. But that's kind of the stuff that I came up with. And I always like talking about some of my earlier works, and that was probably some of that stuff. But because the job kind of pulled me away from it, I never got to finish it. I never continued it. But I would love to start something like that again. Use kind of a superhero sci-fi anthology series as opposed to doing a regular series, or do a regular series but have it be the kind of comic where I could tell different kinds of stories and focus on different characters, but still have this main focus character be part of it, and all this. And I think because it was for some reason that was an anthology. I don't want to write the same story all the time. I finished one story arc, then maybe for the next one I want to do something different. Maybe I want to do something set in outer space. Maybe I want to do a time travel story or a dimension hopping story or something like that. Just, I think some kind of anthology or some kind of like a semi-anthology, like Doctor Who. You know, every episode goes to a different time period, has a different tone and feel, but it still feels like, but if it's done right, it still feels like a Doctor Who story. And so that I'd have something like that, a semi-anthology where the situation changes all the time and the tone can shift. That would be something more of what I want to write as far as a regular series or an ongoing or just stories in general. Because I'm just a kind of a random guy like that. So, I'm going to end this recording now. Hope you found that interesting. And I would love to tell you I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know. This may be the last one I get to record before I go to bed tonight, and I don't know when I'll be able to talk normally again. But at the very least, I'll be back next week, if not this week. Hopefully, I'll be back this week. But if you want to hear all the other Art Soundoff participants, go to Twitter, look and do a search for the hashtag Art Soundoff. You can follow, if you want to see more of my writings and get an idea of when I'll be back to doing anything, bwspotlight.com. And if you want to take part in Art Soundoff yourself, go to artsoundoff.com. It'll tell you how to do it. But that's it for me for now. Hopefully, I got something tomorrow. If not, I still wish you happy creating.